There has been a long night in the soul of humanity. A night filled with uncertainty, pain, loss, and disconnection. For many, it has felt endless, like a cold winter that refuses to release its grip. But Archangel Michael's voice cuts through, the silence like a sword of golden light, whispering into the hearts of the weary. The darkness is fading. Hold on to the light, for it is rising in you now. At first, the message comes softly, like a memory you almost forgot you had. But then it deepens, resonating through every cell in your being. There is something ancient and sacred about this remembrance. You've known this light before. You were born from it. And now, in the depths of collective awakening, you are being asked not to run from the darkness but to outshine it. Archangel Michael does not speak from fear. He does not call you to fight with anger or rise with bitterness. He speaks with calm authority, the kind that only comes from eternal clarity. He reminds you that this moment in history is not an accident. You are not here by chance. You were born for this crossing, this time between the ages, where the illusions of separation begin to crumble, and the soul remembers the truth of who it is. He sees your tired heart. He sees the way you've been carrying burdens that don't belong to you. The weight of old identities, collective trauma, ancestral pain. And he says, it's time to lay them down. You are not meant to walk into the new world dragging the chains of the old one. The light he speaks of is not always flashy. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a flicker in the middle of the night, a quiet knowing that refuses to die. Sometimes it's the strength it takes to wake up one more day, to love when it would be easier to close off, to believe when everything tells you to give up. You see, the fading of darkness doesn't always look like a grand miracle. It often looks like ordinary people choosing extraordinary faith. It looks like someone standing in the middle of chaos and refusing to forget who they are. It looks like softness in a world that rewards hardness, kindness where there's cruelty, presence where others escape. Michael is reminding you that your light, yes, your light, is not small. It is the very force that will help birth the next age of humanity. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stay open, stay grounded, stay aligned. Because the energy that's rising through the planet now is not coming to you. It's coming through you. He speaks into your soul like a bell being rung in the fog. You are not powerless. You are not abandoned. You are not too late. You are the answer you've been waiting for. And you begin to feel it, the shift, not all at once, but in subtle, soul-level ways. The dreams that once felt distant now seem to whisper closer. The parts of you that once hid in shame now want to be seen in the light. Even the fear begins to soften in the presence of this divine truth. You are guided, protected, held, and yet, the old energy does not release easily. That is why you must remain vigilant, not against others, but against the temptation to forget who you are. There are voices in the world that will try to keep you small, systems that benefit from your disempowerment, illusions that feed off your fear. But Archangel Michael reminds you that darkness cannot create. It can only distort. It cannot build, it can only break. It cannot lead, it can only lie. The truth is always stronger. You are learning to see with spiritual eyes, to recognize the difference between fear disguised as wisdom and real wisdom rooted in love, to discern the quiet voice of the soul from the loud noise of the world. And this discernment is not a luxury. It is your shield now. Your light doesn't make you naive. It makes you sovereign. Michael asks you to breathe, to remember, to return to the sacred space within you that never forgets. This light, your divine essence, is not something you earn. It is something you reclaim. You are not becoming the light. You are returning to the light that you already are. As you hold this truth in your heart, you begin to realize this moment in time is not the end. It is the great unraveling before the rebirth, the cocoon before the wings emerge, the breaking of falsehoods so that truth can rise. And your job is not to fix the whole world, but to keep your own flame alive no matter what. There are many who are awakening now, feeling the pulse of something ancient stirring in their bones. You are not alone. In fact, you are more connected than you've ever been. Across time zones and continents, souls are hearing the same call: hold the light, be the bridge. Don't turn away now, because this isn't just about survival, it's about remembrance, resurrection, revelation. And Archangel Michael says, the light in you is the light in me. And when you shine, the darkness trembles, not because of fear, but because it knows its time is ending. And so, as the light stirs within you, something ancient begins to shift. Not just in your mind, but in your very energy field. The veil is thinning, not just between worlds, but between your soul and your awareness. What once felt distant now brushes close, like a sacred breath on the back of your neck. And Michael's voice, steady and sure, continues. This is the awakening you came for. Do not fear the trembling. It's the ground making room for what is real. You are starting to notice the subtle cracks in the illusion. The systems, the beliefs, the roles you once played, they no longer fit like they used to. That discomfort you're feeling isn't a sign of failure. It's an invitation. You're not falling apart, you're breaking open. And that break is where the light enters. Michael calls it sacred undoing, the process of stripping away what never truly belonged to you. In this space, it's easy to feel uncertain, confused, unanchored, and yet you are more rooted than ever. Rooted not in the things of the world, but in the eternal truth of who you are. You are not here to pretend. You are not here to please or perform. You are here to embody the divine, to live as a soul in a world that has forgotten its soul. Michael sees how much you've given. He sees how many times you've stood back up when it would have been easier to give in. He sees how you've chosen compassion over vengeance, clarity over noise, alignment over approval. And he says, this is your strength, not the absence of struggle, but the depth of your devotion. You don't have to do everything, you only have to do your part. But your part is sacred. Whether it's healing your lineage, raising a child in love, holding space for truth, or simply choosing presence in a distracted world, it all matters. Every act of light is a thread in the great tapestry of awakening. And yes, the darkness still tries. It clings to old patterns, manipulates through fear, whispers stories of unworthiness. But the more you see it, the less power it has. The shadows only survive when they go unseen. And now, with your eyes wide open, you are no longer feeding what was built to keep you small. You may wonder why the struggle seems to intensify just as the light grows stronger. Michael answers this too. Because what is dying will always scream the loudest before it is gone. The false self, the part of you conditioned by fear, guilt, and limitation, knows it cannot go where your soul is headed. So it resists, throws doubt and distraction, but you are learning not to listen. You are learning to tune in instead of tuning out, to go inward, not outward. This is the spiritual maturity you're stepping into now. No longer chasing signs, but being the sign. No longer begging for guidance, but walking in it. You are remembering how to hear the divine not just in meditation, but in the mess, in the ordinary, in the sacred silence between your thoughts. And through it all, Michael reminds you, you are never alone. You were never abandoned. You have always been surrounded by love. The pain may have tried to convince you otherwise. The losses, the betrayals, the nights when your prayers felt like they echoed into nothing. But even then, the light was holding you, not as punishment, but as preparation. Every tear carved, room for more grace. Now you are beginning to see it, the synchronicities, the moments of perfect timing, the messages that come through when you need them most, the people who appear just as you're ready. This is no coincidence. This is the divine orchestrating healing through every thread of your experience. And yet you are still human. You will still stumble. You will still doubt. That's not failure. That's the holy tension of being spirit in flesh. But you're learning to meet your humanness with gentleness, to stop expecting perfection, and instead honor the process. You are not here to transcend your humanity. You are here to infuse it with divinity. You are remembering how to trust yourself, that intuitive nudge, that inner knowing, that moment when something just feels off or unmistakably right. That's your guidance speaking, not in dramatic voices from the sky, but in the sacred quiet of your own soul. And Michael wants you to know, you are safe to follow it. There is no map for where you're going. But that's because you're not meant to follow old paths. You're here to create them, to blaze new trails for others to walk, to be the light bearer, even when the night feels endless, to hold the vision of what's possible, even when the world forgets. The light you carry is not naive, it's revolutionary. It is not weak, it is the essence of your strength. And it doesn't come from ego or superiority. It comes from surrender, from the courage to say, I don't know what comes next, but I choose love anyway. This is the new earth being birthed, not through policy or power, but through presence. Through people like you choosing to be conscious in a world built on autopilot, choosing to be awake, even when it hurts, choosing to love, even when it's risky, choosing to stay when every part of you wants to run. Michael's sword is not for violence, it is for clarity, for cutting through illusion, for reclaiming truth. And he places that sword in your hands now, not as a weapon, but as a reminder. You are a warrior of light, not because you never feel fear, but because you no longer let it rule you. The darkness is fading, the illusion is cracking, and through it, the radiance of your soul is emerging, stronger, wiser, more luminous than ever before. And as you continue walking this path, something begins to awaken within you, a sense of divine resilience, not the kind that's fueled by pressure or pushing, but the kind that rises naturally when you finally stop pretending to be someone you're not. The kind that comes when you remember you are light, not because you try, but because you are. Michael's presence grows stronger now, not as a figure outside of you, but as an energy within you. Alive, moving, whispering truth where lies used to live. He doesn't shout. He doesn't command. He simply reminds you of what has always been true. You don't have to save the world. You just have to stop dimming your light. And in that moment, something shifts. You begin to realize that healing isn't a destination. It's a return. Not to the old version of yourself, but to the divine self that was never broken. Yes, you've been through pain. Yes, you've carried wounds, but the truth is, even in your darkest hour, the light in you never went out. It may have flickered, but it never died. It was simply waiting for this very moment. The old world is collapsing, because it was built on forgetfulness, on fear, control, separation. But your soul remembers a different way. It carries the codes of love, unity, and truth deep within your being. That's why you've never fully fit into this world, because you didn't come here to fit in. You came here to transform it. And transformation doesn't happen by force. It happens by frequency. Michael calls this your sacred vibration, the energetic signature that only you can emit. When you're aligned, grounded, and honest with yourself. Your energy becomes medicine. It touches others in ways words never could. You don't even have to try. Your presence alone becomes a transmission of light. And yet, there are still moments of doubt. Moments when the noise of the world drowns out the whisper of your soul. When fear tells you that you're not ready, not strong enough, not pure enough. But Michael counters every lie with one truth. You were chosen for this time because your soul holds the blueprint for this healing. You see, you are not a passive observer of this awakening. You are a key part of it. Your experiences, your journey, your shadows, and your strengths, they all serve a purpose. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been random. Even the pain you thought would destroy you has become the soil where your light now blooms. This is why your presence is needed now more than ever. Not a polished version of you, not a perfect you, but the real you. The you that cries and hopes and gets back up. The you that has seen the darkness and still chooses to shine. The you that keeps loving even when your heart breaks. And if you ever forget, Michael says, look to the sky, look to the wind, look to the synchronicities that follow your every step. You are not doing this alone. The universe is conspiring with your courage. This is the time when the old paradigms are being dismantled, not just in institutions, but in hearts. The beliefs that kept you small, the programming that taught you to distrust yourself, the cycles that kept repeating in your bloodline. All of it is surfacing now, not to punish you, but to be cleared. You are the point of alchemy, the place where history transforms into destiny. And yes, it's intense. The energies are strong. The emotional waves are unpredictable. But they are not here to drown you. They are here to cleanse you, to strip away what is false so the sacred can rise. You are learning how to stand in your truth even when it shakes everything around you. How to speak from your soul even when your voice trembles. How to walk in your calling even when you can't yet see the full path. And this is the courage that shifts timelines. This is the love that rewrites fate. Michael reminds you that spiritual strength doesn't look like invincibility. It looks like softness that refuses to harden, like truth that won't be silenced, like light that won't give up. He calls this your divine inheritance, not something you earn, but something you claim. And now is the time to claim it. This claiming isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It happens in sacred stillness, in those quiet moments when you finally say yes to your own becoming, when you stop asking for permission and start listening to the divine intelligence within, when you release the need to convince and simply be. The light is not coming from outside of you, it is coming from within. And when you stop seeking it in others, you realize it was always waiting in the stillness of your own heart. You are the temple, you are the flame, you are the bridge between heaven and earth. Michael says, your light is not a reaction to darkness, it is the remembrance of your eternal truth. And in remembering this, you free others to do the same. You become a lighthouse in the storm, a quiet revolution, a soul that doesn't need to shout to be heard, because your very presence speaks of what is sacred. The world is changing, the frequency is rising, and your role is not to escape, but to anchor the light in the here and now, to bring heaven to earth not through doctrine or dogma, but through being fully alive, fully present, fully you. So let yourself be lit from within. Let the darkness fall away. Let the truth rise. Because every breath you take in alignment sends out ripples far beyond what you can see. And you were never meant to see it all. You were only meant to trust. As the path unfolds beneath your feet, there's a deeper silence that begins to settle within you. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of presence. of knowing, of no longer needing to be convinced. You're no longer chasing signs outside yourself. You're becoming the sign. And Archangel Michael stands with you now, not in front of you, not above you, but beside you, as a reflection of your highest self rising to meet the moment. He reminds you again, the light has already won. The process you're in now is simply the unraveling of what could not hold. And when you hear those words, something inside you exhales. All the pressure to figure it out, all the striving to become enough, all the doubts that once circled, like shadows, they begin to lose their grip. Because the truth is, you were never meant to force your way forward. You were meant to flow, to remember, to realign. What's being asked of you now is not more effort, it's more surrender. Not to give up, but to give in to the truth that's already pulsing through your spirit. You don't have to earn your light. You only have to stop resisting. And that resistance, Michael knows it well. It often disguises itself as self-doubt, perfectionism, comparison, fear of being too much or not enough. But underneath all of that is one root illusion: separation. The belief that you are somehow apart from the divine, from others, from your purpose. And Michael whispers with fierce love, that illusion is dying now. You're beginning to feel it. The subtle threads that once kept you tangled in the stories of your past are loosening. The loops that replayed in your mind, the ones that said, you can't, you're not ready, you're alone, are being overwritten by something much deeper. Not words, but knowing, not logic, but light. This is what it means to walk in remembrance. It's not about always having the answers. It's about learning how to be led. Trust is no longer something you do out of desperation. It's the frequency you live in. And in that frequency, miracles become normal. You've probably noticed in how time feels different now, how moments stretch and collapse, how you're guided to places, people, messages, and memories you never could have planned. This isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. You are living in alignment with the soul's rhythm now, not the world's. And with that shift comes power, not the power of control, but the power of coherence. The kind of power that doesn't need to dominate, because it is anchored in love. It's the power of walking into a room and shifting the energy just by being fully yourself. It's the power of speaking truth and watching falsehoods dissolve without a fight. It's the power of knowing that you are one with the source of all life, and that nothing can separate you from that ever again. Michael smiles at your becoming. He knows how hard-won this clarity has been. He knows the nights you thought you wouldn't make it, the battles no one saw, the tears you cried in silence. And he says, every moment you chose love when fear was easier, that was a victory. Every time you stayed soft in a hard world, that was divine rebellion. And now you understand. This light you hold is not fragile. It's forged, not fabricated through fantasy, but earned through embodiment. And it's needed now more than ever. Because as the darkness continues to dissolve, it will still try to distract. It will try to trigger the old programming, to pull you back into fear, scarcity, division. But you are different now. You see it. And once you see it, you can no longer unsee. You are sovereign. You are awake. You are no longer reacting. You are responding. And that conscious response is your spiritual sword. Remember this. Your energy speaks before your words. Your presence teaches before your message. That's why your greatest offering isn't in what you say. It's in who you are when you walk in a room. When you hold space for others without losing yourself. When you remain grounded while the world shakes. You are not here to convert anyone. You are not here to convince. You are here to be so deeply rooted in your truth that others remember theirs just by being around you. This is leadership of the soul, not based on titles, but on integrity. Not built on control, but on embodiment. And it's not something you claim externally. It's something you carry internally, like a quiet fire that never goes out. Michael wants you to remember something very clearly now. The spiritual path is not a ladder, it's a spiral. You're not going backward, you're deepening. So even when old patterns resurface, even when doubts reappear, don't judge yourself. Don't panic. It's not regression, it's refinement. You're being polished, not punished. And every time you return to your breath, to your heart, to your light, you create a ripple. That ripple doesn't stop at your own life. It touches the collective. It softens timelines. It heals generations. You may never fully see the impact you have, but the universe sees. And it is always responding to the frequency of your soul. So keep going. Keep listening. Keep trusting that what you feel is more real than what you see. The world may not validate your path, but your soul does. The angels do. The earth itself rises to meet every step you take in love. And Michael, ever watchful, ever near, places his hand on your shoulder and says with quiet certainty, "You were never walking through darkness. You were walking through layers of forgetting. And now, you are waking up. Not to a new light, but to the ancient light that has always lived within you. And now, the light within you is no longer a flicker. It's a steady flame. You may not feel it every moment, but it's there. Quiet, constant, alive. You've walked through the fire, and instead of being burned, you've been refined. This is what transformation looks like, not polished perfection, but sacred authenticity. You are no longer trying to appear spiritual. You are simply remembering that you are spirit. Archangel Michael walks with you still, and his voice echoes in your spirit, not louder, but clearer. This is your becoming. The darkness is not winning. It is unraveling. And with each unraveling, the light reveals what has always been real. This isn't about bypassing pain or pretending the world isn't in chaos. It's about learning how to hold your center, even when everything else spins. About standing tall when the winds of change howl around you. About keeping your heart open when it would be easier to shut down. Yes, the darkness still makes noise, but it has no authority over the light that you've claimed. It may try to provoke your fear, but your fear is no longer your compass. Your soul is, and your soul is remembering, step by step, how to lead the way. There's something sacred in your slowness now. You're no longer racing, you're listening. No longer trying to fix yourself. You're choosing to love yourself, even in the middle of the healing. That shift, that's everything. Because the truth is, the more you love yourself, the less grip darkness has on your mind. You begin to feel where your energy belongs and where it doesn't. You become a guardian of your own peace, not by closing your heart, but by discerning who and what gets access to it. Michael calls this sacred boundaries, not walls, but protection of what is holy within you. You are not meant to leak your light to every passing demand. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every cry for help is yours to answer. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is stay rooted in your center and trust others to rise in their own timing. And yet you remain soft, not naive, but open. That's your superpower now, to be grounded and expansive at the same time, to stand in clarity and still offer compassion, to say no when needed without guilt, to say yes when it's true even if it scares you. You are no longer led by the wounded child within, but neither do you abandon them. You hold that younger version of yourself gently. You no longer shame their fear or rush their healing. You understand now. Your shadows are not your enemy. They are simply parts of you asking to be loved back into wholeness. This is how you hold the light, by not turning away from what hurts, by meeting your fear with kindness, by choosing presence over avoidance. And Michael reminds you, the darkness does not die when you resist it. It dies when you stop feeding it with your energy. So you're reclaiming that energy now, calling it back from every place you once gave it away, from old relationships, from painful memories, from timelines that no longer serve. One breath at a time, you are returning to yourself. You're no longer fractured. You're becoming integrated, whole. And it shows in your eyes, in your words, in the way you move through life. People feel your frequency before they understand your message. They sense something ancient in you, something pure, not perfect but real. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. That's your light. Michael says this is your silent mission now, to be a living portal, to walk as the bridge between what is crumbling and what is being born. Not by force, but by vibration. Your joy is a transmission. Your peace is a lighthouse. Your presence is a prophecy. And even in your quietest days, even when you feel tired or lost or unsure, your light is still working. It travels beyond words, beyond space, beyond time. You never know who your energy is touching, whose path is being illuminated by your simple act of staying aligned. This is the ripple of the awakened soul. It doesn't look like spectacle. It looks like stillness in a storm, like forgiveness when it's not deserved, like devotion without recognition, like faith in the middle of the unknown. And yes, the unknown is still here, but it no longer paralyzes you. You're learning to make peace with mystery, to walk without guarantees, to create without control, because you trust now, not blindly, but deeply. Your trust is rooted in experience, in divine encounters, in the quiet evidence of grace that's never left your side. You are not who you were even a year ago. You are softer and stronger, clearer and more compassionate, less reactive, more intentional, less driven by fear, more guided by intuition. This evolution is real, and it's not ending. It's accelerating. Michael says, the light within you is not finished. It's just beginning to awaken to its next level. And with that, the invitation becomes even deeper. Can you stay open when everything familiar falls away? Can you keep loving even when it doesn't make sense? Can you hold the vision of healing even when the world clings to separation? These are the questions of the soul. Not tests, but doorways. And every time you answer them with your presence, you cross into a higher dimension of yourself. You are rising, not by escaping the world, but by inhabiting it fully as your true self. You are not hiding. You are not shrinking. You are not apologizing for your light. You are showing up with clarity, with compassion, with conviction. And that is how the darkness fades. Not all at once, but breath by breath as each awakened. Soul becomes a torch in the night. And now, with each step you take, you begin to notice something profound. You're no longer trying to get somewhere. You're already there, inside yourself. What's shifted isn't the world around you. It's how you see it. Through eyes that have wept and awakened. Through a heart that has broken and bloomed. Through a soul that remembers why it came. You are not chasing light anymore. You are the light, and this light, your light, does not compete. It does not compare. It does not seek validation. It simply is. It radiates. It expands. It attracts. What is aligned and gently releases what no longer is. And Archangel Michael, ever steady in his guidance, speaks again, not as a command, but as a remembrance. You do not need to fight the darkness. You only need to shine. This is the essence of your mission. Not to fix the world, but to live in such truth, such alignment, such authenticity, that your very presence begins to realign the field around you. You're not here to escape the chaos. You're here to hold the vibration of peace within it. You're not here to avoid the pain. You're here to transmute it through love. And when the heaviness returns, when the world feels loud, when you forget your own power for a moment, remember, it's okay. You are human and divine. You are allowed to feel everything. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to question. You're allowed to not have all the answers, because your soul doesn't evolve through perfection. It evolves through presence. Michael wants you to know your vulnerability is not a weakness. It is part of your medicine. The tears you shed water the garden of someone else's becoming. The stories you share give others permission to heal. The compassion you offer others returns to you tenfold in unseen ways. You are part of a larger unfolding, a collective rising, a spiritual revolution that is not happening through institutions but through individuals, like you, who are brave enough to wake up, to walk away from fear, to embody love in real time. And as more souls awaken, the web of light expands, across borders, across timelines, across dimensions. You may not always see the connection, but it's there. Every act of truth strengthens the grid. Every choice to forgive instead of judge, to listen instead of argue, to love instead of fear, weaves another golden thread into the tapestry of collective healing. You are a weaver of light, a keeper of frequency, a sacred soul whose very being makes a difference. There are still shadows, yes. There are still moments when the world forgets who it is. But that is why you came, to remember again and again, until remembrance becomes reality, until light becomes the new normal, until love becomes the language we all speak. And when you feel small, when the weight of the world feels too heavy to hold, Michael reminds you, you were never asked to carry it all. Only your part, only your frequency, only your truth. You are not alone, even when you feel it, even when the silence stretches longer than you'd like, even when the signs seem quiet and the sky feels far. Michael is near. The angels are near. Your guides, your ancestors, your higher self, they all walk with you. And more than that, your light family walks beside you. Souls across the earth who are waking up just like you, remembering who they are, and anchoring light in the places you cannot reach. You may not know their names, but you feel their frequency. You meet them in dreams, in synchronicities, in the quiet, knowing that you're not doing this alone. You never were. So breathe, beloved soul. Let yourself feel the magnitude of how far you've come, not just in this life, but across lifetimes. You've carried codes of light through darkness before. You've walked through realms and timelines, bringing pieces of truth wherever you went. And now, you are here. At this intersection, at this threshold, you are no longer who you were. And you are not yet who you are becoming. You are in the sacred in-between, the womb of rebirth. The space where nothing makes sense, but everything is aligning. And in this space, you don't need to do anything. You simply need to be still, be soft, be true. Because the truth is the darkness is fading. Not because it's been defeated, but because it's no longer being fed. Souls like yours are starving the illusion, starving the fear, starving the separation. And as the old world dissolves, the new one is already being born. Through your choices, your voice, your vision. This is the new earth, not a distant paradise, but a frequency, a way of being, a conscious choice to walk in truth even when it trembles. A daily act of faith and love over fear. Michael places his sword of light in your hands now, not as a weapon, but as a symbol. You no longer need to fight. You are not at war. You are here to witness the ending of the old and the birth of the divine. Let yourself grieve what's falling. Let yourself celebrate what's rising. Let yourself live in awe of the mystery that holds it all. And above all, keep holding on to the light. Not with force, not with fear, but with reverence, with the quiet strength of someone who remembers, with the deep peace of someone who knows, with the eternal flame of someone who is. The darkness is fading. You are rising. And the light you carry, it's forever.